Hello, everyone. You are listening to the Video Gabecast, episode 4. We've been on long hiatus thanks to the holidays. Joining me for the first time, newcomer, Argus. How are you?
I didn't really make the connection. That's a very clever name, the Gabecast, because you are,
I think so.
yeah, you are taking the first step into the wider world of being a successful podcast.
And I was shocked that not a lot of people. There's a couple very small YouTube channels with there's a couple video games out there, but none of them are big enough to really challenge me. Because I have 80 downloads on iTunes. How many downloads do they have? 0. No, it's more like I don't want to challenge. There's no one that I can worry about them saying, "Hey, asshole, my name."
We were just talking about copyright law before we hit this, and I don't think you can copyright a name, and I don't think you can copyright the word video. So
Not yet.
We're working on that technology.
I told you put it on a piece of paper and you can do anything.
Yeah.
So, man, I've been playing a lot of games. Some games I didn't want to play for the sake of this podcast.
That sounds taxing. I've been playing games that I did want to play, and for the sake of playing them, and this podcast is a happy coincidence.
Well, I was fooled into playing these games. See, I was fooled that some of these games are good.
Oh, you've been playing BioShock Infinite.
How the fuck did you know? Or did I tell you?
No?
Fuck that game.
Yeah, that game is awful.
Oh, it's awful.
Why does everybody keep saying it's the game of the year? It's not clever. It's not fun. It's the dullest slog. The shooting is just so incomprehensibly dull. And then you get to the ghost mom who just spawns enemies forever, and it just goes on and on and on.
Here's what made BioShock 1 good. Is there were every room was kind of like a sandbox, and there was only a handful of enemies in each game. Each engagement was meaningful.
Yeah.
This game is just like, hey, we're gonna have this ass that shits enemies constantly. The end of that game is fucking horrible.
And what I liked about BioShock 1 is that every plasmid has a unique use. Some things are traps. Some things manipulate enemies. Some things are damage or crowd control. In Infinite, there's
3 kinds of traps.
Yeah, but everything is 2 different things, and you can switch between them pretty much at will. And so everything you have is either crowd control or a trap or some, but they're all it can do all of it at once.
Mm-hmm.
And then in BioShock 1, like you said, every room was this enclosed, every area was like this enclosed space. You got to run around and you can, what do? Do you rush in with your shotgun? Just start tearing stuff down? Do you set traps and try to trick the splicers into it? And the splicers felt like monsters. They felt like they were no longer human, but they were creepy because they were clearly recognizable as having once been human.
Yeah.
The citizens of Columbia are just dudes.
Yeah, the enemy design in that game, there was a few cool things, but
hang on, I just thought of something. Okay, you played through the whole game.
Yes.
At the start of the game, when you get up there for the first time, there's that whole crowd of civilians around you.
Mm-hmm.
And you see civilians sometimes during non-action scenes.
Yeah.
Do you remember a single action sequence where there were civilians?
That's a good point.
I'm trying to think now, because I remember there was one where Elizabeth is like, oh, let's go explore for a bit, and I wandered around, and at some point I accidentally pointed a gun at somebody. I didn't mean to, and I couldn't figure out how to put my gun back away, and everybody in the room pulled out firearms and opened up on me. Yeah.
It's Texas.
Oh, actually, that makes a lot of sense. No, yeah, because it's Sky, Texas, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Flying Texas. They put jet boosters on the bottom of Texas, and they said, fuck this blue country, let's get out of here. And then they...
That actually sounds like a better story.
It
Can we play
does.
that game? That game sounds fun.
I
You could.
like the character element of the story. I think the ending of the story was really good. I think playing the game was a bad experience.
I did not like the ending either. Uh,
Oh,
and
that part on the fucking where you had to take out all those flying blimp thingies, the
not
zeppelins.
even that. The story ending. The whole lighthouse thing. Like the only
Hmm.
clever thing was it always starts with a lighthouse. That's kind of cool. That
Yeah.
gives them license to make a lot of different BioShock games that all link up at that one point. But and that's like a cool little narrative trick they did. But the rest of it just felt flat. Like
There
it didn't feel like it felt like all the interesting character drama they'd been building up between Booker and Elizabeth was just we're not going to worry about that anymore.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like all the. I actually really enjoyed all the talk about time and space and the relativity of all of that.
Wibbly
Uh,
wobbly, timey wimey.
those two people, the
The
lady and the dude,
Lutesses.
yeah, they were probably the best, the single greatest thing about the game because
Because they're spooky.
they're
Because they're,
spooky and they're intelligent.
for the same reason the Splicers are. They look human, but they're recognizably not anymore.
Hmm. Hmm. And I like the stuff they said,
Yeah.
even though sometimes it got a little heavy. My brain started to go. "Ah."
I like how they're the same person.
Were they? See, I didn't care enough to really think about it.
I went through enough of the audio logs, which again, audio logs are
Ugh.
cool.
Ugh.
You don't like them?
I like them in moderation, but it was
There were too
like
many.
there were too many, and then they would drop them in the moment, like where
When you're trying, it's like, yes, this is nice and all, but I'm trying to kill something.
or they had to bottom out that they had to kill this audio log because there's dialogue going on,
Ah.
and I would forget to replay it, and I'm not going to
Yeah.
go through menus and track it down. Fuck that.
BioShock 1 did a good job of dropping the audio logs in places when you were exploring during quiet
Yeah,
time.
idle moments. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the Lutesses are actually, they are not brother and sister, they are both Lutess. They are the same person, just from different timelines.
Okay.
And
That makes sense.
they've become unstuck in time, but they don't want to fix the problem because they like being together, and doing so would have to eliminate one of them.
Okay. See, everything surrounding them is interesting.
Yeah, God, they're fascinating.
I think,
You know what would have been cool? If Booker was actually Lutess. And you play through the whole game, and then you break time, and you become those two people.
so you're also him and Comstock or whatever the hell they
Sure.
said at the end of the
Yeah,
game.
let's. You are every character. Somehow you are also Elizabeth. You go.
I was gonna
Elizabeth
say
is
that.
like your alternate reality self daughter, and I've gone crazy.
That game went crazy before you did, so that's okay.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
it's frustrating because there are nuggets of gold in that game,
there
but
really
it's
are.
just surrounded by too many enemies. I think okay, my two biggest gripes about the game. I'll just nail it down right here. Too many enemies and too much fucking scavenging.
Also, the handymen were complete shit.
Yeah, some of the enemies were just kind of annoying.
The handymen are just. Remember fighting big daddies? You could trap them, you could run from them, you can hide, you can ambush them. Fighting handymen.
Sorry.
Classy.
This is a dude's podcast. I'm gonna be burping. So
Fighting handymen was like you sit there and hit them with rockets and they punch you. You can't dodge, you can't block. There's no recourse. There's no options.
it kind of highlights what we've been saying all along about quantity over quality with the engagements in that game. Just brute forcing your way through everything.
Speaking of nuggets of gold from it, though, I
Mhm.
saw. If you played Mass Effect,
You know, that's on my docket. I actually own all of them.
well, you're on the internet, so you've probably at some point heard about the end of Mass Effect.
Yes.
Okay.
That's 3. I mean, I've heard that it did not reward you for everything.
I saw a great piece of fan art. You know that bit in Infinite where you first meet the Lutesses, where they offer you the coin and tell you to flip it?
Mhm.
And there's a piece of fan art where it's Shepard wearing the sandwich board, and then female Shepherd offering you a tray with a pistol on it. And Shepherd's sandwich board has the 3 different endings, and all the hash marks are in the red one.
That's pretty good.
I don't know what it's called, but like I found that to be a better commentary on the Mass Effect 3 ending than any number of words.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That hammers it down from what I've heard.
So, if BioShock Infinite is our disappointment of the year, what was your actual game of the year?
This conversation might make me angrier than the last because I don't know. There's 3. And next week. Well, if everyone decides.
Oh, did I ambush you before this? You had this planned?
No, well, no, it's fine because it's going to come up eventually. But next week, I really hope to do a Game of the Year podcast. I feel like the longer I postpone it, the more punch gets removed because everyone starts to move on from giving a shit about Game of the Year. But I think there are 3 games on my mind that I can think of right off the top of my head. And one of them I just added this morning or last night. Last Light. I started playing that and I'm very impressed already. And I did not get into Metro 2033.
2033 is hard to get into, but it's easier if you like the atmosphere.
I like the atmosphere. It's just really slow, and it just, I don't know, maybe I have ADHD. I mean, I know I have ADHD. It's obvious. It just doesn't grab you, and everything about Last Light grabbed me immediately. The characters, the dialogue, the look of the menus, even. It just looks great. The graphics are great. One thing about the graphics I don't like is the skin texture looks a little weird. They all look like wax paintings. The texture of the light coming off of them looks a little weird.
Yeah, that problem showed up in 2033 a little too.
But it still looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, it keeps a common aesthetic, so it doesn't really throw me off too much.
Yeah, I forgive. I'm totally forgiving it because it still looks incredible. The voice acting's kind of shit too.
Is Steve Blum in it again?
Who?
Steve Blum. He was like 8 different people in 2033.
I don't really know because I'm not really in the loop with 2033. But yeah, anyway, I just try to. We can talk about Metro all day, but yeah, that game looks great. I'm instantly interested. That probably will be high on my list already, which means I might have to play another game. God damn it! I keep doing this thing where it's like I want to have a good list, so I'm like, I wonder what this game's like, and then I start it and I say, well, I guess I gotta keep going. So that game, Rogue Legacy, absolutely.
Oh God, Rogue Legacy.
It's so good.
You know, I enjoyed the game. I don't think it's a roguelike.
No, well, it's a roguelike that's very dumbed down.
It's a roguelite, if you will.
It's like a roguelike? Roguelike-like?
A light roguelike.
Okay.
Roguelite. Actually, roguelite sounds like its own version of a game. But, yeah, I loved the platforming elements. It had nice controls.
You know, I agree with the controls thing. The only complaint about the controls is turning the character mid-swing, and that got me hit in the back many, many times.
Just get a character... Or, you know, there's one of the genetic traits that makes it so you can't do that?
Really? Because I don't feel like I can do it with anybody.
It's one of the traits, if you start to swing, you are locked in place. Or no, it's the other way around. You're locked in place unless you're agile, I think.
Yeah, which I think is kind of a...
or something like that.
That shouldn't be... I mean, as much as I like those traits, that shouldn't be something that you have to unlock, being able to turn around.
Well, it's not an unlockable. It's the random nature of it. And I felt like they could have had a little bit more in the way of the random character elements.
Well, I'm already ready for a second one. Like, even though I haven't beaten it yet. Like, I think... Like, I enjoyed the game, but I think the moment that the game peaked was when I put on a full suit of vampire armor and then continued to make a shitload of money and beat a boss. And then, yeah, that vampire armor. You're really weak with it on, but you fucking get so much health for every enemy you kill.
It's good for fighting the flaming skull.
Yes, I beat him.
Yeah.
So I think my problem is I keep at that skill tree. I do what everybody does, where I look at how can I not throw away money, and I buy the most expensive item. I try to match it as much as I can.
Yeah.
Which means I buy a bunch of shit that's not necessary.
They put out a new patch where that merchant skill that lets you save money when you go past Charon, it gets upgraded. Really, it's worth more now. So instead of saving, I think 10% at max rank, you save 80% at max rank.
Oh, really? 'Cause that's good because I think I've put at least 3. I've hit that at least 3 times.
Yeah.
But what? So the point is that I have been sort of neglecting health and armor, like how
In favor of being a mad berserker.
well, just in favor of buying whatever's expensive.
Ah.
That's what I keep doing. But now I just need to emphasize on not the there's 2 armor things. There's that thing where you can carry more weight.
Yeah.
I've hit that enough times. I think I'm sticking with the vampire armor. But I really
You'll
because
find
I'm
better armor.
yeah, probably. But I do need to work on health and the armor quality. Upgrade those 2 items. It's just I end up wasting money doing it every time.
Well, it's not a waste because it's constant progression.
Yeah, that's true.
So what's your third game?
Probably The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Ah!
Eh.
How dare you?
Quite easily, I dare.
Did you beat it?
Yeah.
Well, there's 2 things about that game that really... That game cheats with me. It cheats with me because it has a really melancholy soundtrack, and that automatically gives it points for an unfair reason.
Well, is that all it takes?
Part of it, well, soundtrack is huge to me. Like, in most of the movies I like, the soundtrack is a big part of why it's good. Like, a good example, have you seen Man on Fire?
Yeah.
That movie, half of the reason why it's as good as it is the audio, I think.
I pulled up my music folder and I'm looking through it, and come to think of it, yeah, some of the best movies and games I've played, I have the soundtrack for. So, everything from Pacific Rim springs to mind.
Can we take a Pacific Rim rabbit trail?
Sure.
That
Are we gonna ask for a Pacific Rim game?
No, that movie has a great soundtrack. I want to have some of whatever the hell they were on when they made that movie. It was the most disjointed thing. Like, we're going to give you 10% of every character's story just to bring up more questions.
I thought that was great. I love it when they do that in movies.
I wish they told
leave a
more.
lot to the imagination, and then there's Ron Perlman in it too.
I was really drunk when I watched that movie, so the whole time I tend to chemical when I drink. I'm like, why is this like this? This movie's not good enough.
Now, okay, everybody I've talked to has the same complaint about this film, and I want to see if you have it too, so I can break it. Did you ever think to yourself, why the fuck did they not use the sword earlier?
I don't know if I even remember.
Oh, okay.
Which sword?
The mech sword. The sword on the mech.
They probably didn't want to show their hand till the end of the movie, if you catch my drift.
It's actually explained early on. Like, it's not explained in the movie, but there was a cut scene right at the very beginning where one of the characters says to the other, it's like, okay, can we use the sword this time? No, don't be stupid. The sword never works.
It's just a cheap way of them saving the drama to the end, I think.
Yeah, well, like, it turns into it, what you just said, because they don't have that scene. If they just put that scene in the actual movie, it would have been so much better.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think that way...
I love that film. I do.
Maybe I should watch it sober. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think I'm really big on script, and if a movie has a weak script, like
I
I didn't like Gravity either.
but Gravity's dumb.
It's very dumb.
I I'm a big fan of space travel. I love the idea of going to space and humanity expanding out to the stars. And the message of Gravity seemed to boil down to space is dangerous, we shouldn't go there.
Well, I wouldn't disagree with that because there's no oxygen in space. I mean, if you
Space,
just,
oh no, space is dangerous, but
but it
like
was pretty didactic.
yeah, like they could have said space is dangerous, but look, humanity triumphs over it anyway. Instead, it
Um,
was more like space is dangerous, and yeah, this person survived, but you probably wouldn't, so maybe you should stay on Earth forever, where
well,
humans belong.
I've heard that there's a pretty high death toll among astronauts. um, I don't know if that's true or not, and I
Eh,
think I'm not saying I want to get on board with any didactic shit in most of my movies. Um,
weren't we talking about video games? How did this
we
happen?
were, yeah. I went on Pacific Rim, but anyway, yeah, The Last of Us.
Okay, fine.
That game, I like the storytelling, even though Joel pisses me off at the end of that game. I think I would have. I wanted to save Ellie, but I think I would rather take a life if it worked.
There's a name for that. It's I think it's called the Utopia choice.
Hmm.
It's the basic question is the same thing. Would you rather kill one child or an entire
Yeah,
civilization?
yeah.
And
Well, I think Ellie would have gone with it. I think she was is selfless enough that she would have said, "Okay, do it."
eh, I just had problems with the game's
It wasn't
everything.
It was a little mechanically fucked up.
At the end of the game, you essentially doom humanity, but that's you kind of do it by proxy, and it's hardly the worst thing you've done throughout the game. By the
Hmm.
time you get there, both Joel and Ellie have committed an abhorrent amount of murder. Like, neither of them are good people.
Well, I think Ellie was killing. I think they were both killing for survival. I just don't think Joel is a moral man. I think he's pretty self-serving and needs to not be so. He's too shut in. Like anytime someone brings up his daughter, he's like, "Arr, arr, 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 arr." He gets all offended. It's like, look, get over it. She died a long time ago. If you talk about it, it'll probably be a whole lot better. Um, I don't like Joel. I think I like him. I
I
like.
don't like Joel either,
I,
and that's
I
kind of what turned me off the game.
well, here's the thing though. I like that they are causing this conversation because most video games characters are this guy's arms and a gun.
Mm.
I mean, that's it. There's no real character depth. So the fact that I can complain about a video game character is far better than not having this conversation at all.
I always there's a big argument in my head between main characters that you control, like your protagonist,
Hmm.
having a voice and a personality versus not a silent protagonist. I think silent protagonists are kind of lame,
Yeah.
but versus the Commander Shepard option, where you have a voice and it's your voice,
Yeah.
not a preset one.
And how much of it in a game are they going to allow you to control, and then what is going to happen in cutscenes?
Yeah.
It's all pretty advanced game design stuff, and I think most games do one real hard or the other real hard. You know, just totally pulling you out of it or totally giving you license, and then you have games like Heavy Rain and what was that new
Eh.
one?
The Walking Dead.
No, not. It was another David Cage game.
Oh,
It was new.
Two
It had
Beyond
Willem
Two Souls.
Dafoe in it. Yeah. So you have
That had
games
Willem
like
Dafoe
that.
in it.
Yeah,
But that game doesn't offer you choices.
that's the point I'm making.
Oh, okay. Carry on.
It gives you, it makes you feel like you're controlling things, but everybody I've talked to says in the end,
No, it doesn't. it never actually gives the player enough feedback to make you feel like you had any real agency, which
Yeah.
is weird because I a few months ago, I played Saints Row 4,
Hmm.
a game I highly recommend over GTA 5,
Well,
the new one, because it's insane. And you actually do get a number of choices throughout that game, and none of them really matter that much because they're small choices, and the big choice, or the big events, do not give a shit about your little choices.
hmm
And it still made me feel like I had a degree of control. And I
hmm
think that's a good way to go with games. Like, The Walking Dead does this very well, whereas you talk to another character and, you know, they might like, depending on what you say to them, they might like you, they might not. It might change conversations later, and you feel like you have control. No matter what you do, that person is going to die next chapter.
hmm
That's not a spoiler, that applies to like 8 different characters.
Oh no, I beat it. I beat episode 1, so I beat the whole. Yeah.
Yeah, but like you can have choices and you can have impact and agency, and you can still not actually make a difference. And I think that's a really cool thing that games can give us is they can give us the cool cutscenes. They can let us make choices but still show us the story they want to.
Yeah, and I don't mind just controlling how I get there, even if the result is the same.
Yeah.
At least I feel like I'm somewhat involved.
I
But
honestly, I would have loved the Mass Effect ending more if you'd gotten to the end and there would have been a single end. And I think that would have been really kind of clever of them, where it's like you were on any number of different paths, but all of them led here.
mhm.
But that didn't happen.
I think that Mass Effect trilogy is gonna be coming for me real soon because I own them all. I actually started Mass Effect 1, and I was like, God, this game has so much filler.
Does it?
It takes so long just to get from point A to point B. Like a big chunk of that game you spend just running around. Like, hey, go here.
Yeah,
But
I
this is
guess
gonna
you
be
kinda
10
do.
minutes of walking
Mass
until you.
Effect 2 kind of fixes that, but
That's what I heard.
Mass Effect 2, as far as the story goes, feels like filler itself.
Mhm.
But
I
it's
don't
good.
mind storytelling.
It's
Like,
good to get to know the characters, but there's not a lot of story in Mass Effect 2. And then Mass Effect 3 rolls along, and it's the same characters from 2. And I would normally recommend you skip 2, but it's important to get to know the characters,
mm.
and it builds up a lot of backstory, but it just doesn't feel that exciting to play through.
Yeah, I feel like the scale on Mass Effect as you move through it, more weight keeps getting dropped onto combat and gameplay, and weights on content seem to keep getting removed, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Like
actually, you
by
know what?
three, everyone says the combat's pretty good.
I the third one, the combat was improved. Same with the second one. Actually, they improved combat in both of them. The second one didn't really have a lot of big narrative moments, but the third one takes all the backstory from the second and gives you some really good narrative payoff.
Hmm.
Not the actual ending, mind you, but the resolution with Moradin, who you don't know because you haven't played. Okay, the resolution with like several of your characters from the second game feels really uh, deep. Like it actually matters, and your decisions matter, and their decisions matter, and it treats them as people and not just as NPCs. And there are some honestly beautiful moments in the third game, just not the end.
Hmm. That's a series I need to play. And now I got them all because they were on Steam sale a while back, or maybe it was Origin or
Yes.
some shit. I don't know.
The winter Steam sale. Pick up anything good for that?
Oh God, dude, where do you want me to start?
At the top of the list of things you picked up?
See, my Steam list is so big, it's hard for me to remember. But I will try.
Give me the Letterman list.
Well, I think I think Rogue Legacy was a sale game I bought a while back. I'll tell you the games I bought, and then I'll complain about the bad ones and hail the good ones.
Sure.
Um, that Volgar the Barbarian game is very disappointing.
Is it?
It's just hard and the jumping sucks.
I think
And
that was the point, though.
well, you can make a game hard, but if most of the jumping is a vertical jump, then fuck you, your platforming's bad. It I need to be able to control my character in the air. If I'm dying because it performs poorly, then that's bad game design in my opinion. Um, Otherwise, I would like the game. If I could land the jumps and not die because of them, then I'd keep playing it. Um, Tiny Barbarian DX is interesting. It's not very good, but it's cute. So
I haven't seen that. I just get a kick out of the name.
yeah, yeah, I know. It's kind of like the better version of Volgar. I like it. It's okay. I don't know how much more of it I'll play, but Hammerwatch is not good.
Oh, I'm glad I dodged that one.
Well, it might be okay with a bunch of people. Like if you had 4 people, it might be okay, but it's just
I do not have 4 people.
Yeah, me neither. I'm a grown adult, so I feel like most of us grow out of.
Oh wait, is that mean like 4 people local multiplayer?
No, I mean online.
Oh, okay. I have like one person that I play games with all the time. So
My problem is scheduling. Like
Yeah.
it's just no one is available when I'm available, and opposite's true. Speaking of local multiplayer, I was painfully disappointed by Samurai Gun.
really?
Only local multiplayer
Oh yeah.
on a PC game.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, I have no strong opinions on that one. I thought the gameplay was interesting.
Well, I think
Yeah.
it's simple for a good reason.
Yeah.
I like simplified melee combat kind of games, because it's very decisive. But I can't do anything with it. I'm not gonna play against the computer because that's boring.
And you can't always, if you don't, unless you basically live with somebody.
Yeah. No. Well, I do. I live with family, but none of them play games.
Yeah.
So
So I'm lucky. I live with people who are all nerds.
yeah, you're the opposite. You're polar opposite of me. I would have to buy a bunch of Xbox 360 controllers, and that wouldn't be this. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm not prepared to invest in those either.
Yeah, it's something you know how many times I've bought controllers and we used them once, and then they just go right back into a box. I don't play local as often as I'd like. I still hail local multiplayer as the best way to do it, but
I have very fond memories of playing Halo 2 during high school.
oh,
Halo 2, the best first-person shooter ever, and I can back that up. I won't, because it would take
I'm going
forever.
to fight with you if you go down that road. I loved. No, okay, we're gonna go down a Halo 2 rabbit hole. You made me do it. It's your fault.
Nope, we'll do that later. Keep going down your
Okay.
Steam list. I don't get to the sale
Okay,
stuff.
we should have a Halo. I think the next I think me and you will just have a Halo podcast so we can talk about Halo, and I will shout like a madman.
We can chart the progression of, that's kind of interesting, up to brilliant genius, and then the steady decline towards Halo 4, the worst thing.
Yeah, Halo Reach was really good.
I loved the end of Halo Reach.
Mhm.
Can I spoil that? Can I talk about spoilers?
Go ahead, Halo's old.
Spoiler alert. The end of Halo Reach, where you're just, like, because anybody who's been mildly associated with Halo knows how Reach ends.
Yeah.
The planet died. They glassed the planet. There's nothing left. So when you're left on the planet at the end of the game and you're just around, like, you're not getting out of there alive, and then they start sending enemies at you, and I was thinking, like, oh, is there more levels? Do I, like, have to fight my way to an escape pod? And then I got shot a couple of times and my helmet cracked.
Mhm.
What the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
And yeah, and it turns into this battle of attrition where there's nothing you can do. You die. You die at the end. But it makes it feel like you went down swinging.
I agree with you. I really like
That was
that ending.
really satisfying.
hmm I feel like it could have had more emotional punch with Marty O'Donnell's songwriting. Like, if you listen to a lot of his music, it's really melancholy. And I
Yeah,
think if he had really ratcheted that bar up at the end of Halo Reach, it might have been even better.
I kind of liked where it was. I
I
thought
don't
it
feel like
fit very well, but you're right, it didn't stand out in my head.
I feel like that's Halo in a nutshell, where
Adequate.
real it's real yes, it's adequate, but the potential is enormous, and I feel like most of those guys, this may sound rude, but they all mostly sound very juvenile, and Marty O'Donnell is the person that keeps me interested as being an adult because his music is really, really well written and pointed straight
The
at me.
the single player campaigns for Halo have always been kind of childishly cheesy.
Yes.
Like they're very those are the bad guys, we are the good guys sort of thing.
hmm
Um, with the exception of ODST, where they introduced the fact that the Covenant has other races in it. Actually, no, a lot of them introduced the idea that the Covenant is not this all-consuming evil entity, and yet you always fight them.
I think I like the Halo 2 and Halo ODST nailed tone
Yeah,
better than any of the other games, and tone is enormous with me.
Halo
I
Two
think that's
kind of
why I
showed
like
us
Last of
one.
Us.
Halo Two kind of showed us one where it's like, yeah, the Covenant, the elites, they're just people. They're like us, you know. They have they're dicks sometimes, but look, you're playing as this guy, mechanically he's the same. He's just another soldier, like John is, and they're basically the same, and just links them together and reminds you when you're killing them later that they're just people.
I feel like 2 had the best storytelling and production value of all of the
It
games.
really did.
And then, God, I'm just gonna be a dick and I don't care. I don't think most Halo players know shit about video games. Halo 2 is so much better than Halo 1.
It is.
So much better. And they said, "No, we don't want a better game." And so Bungie said, "Okay."
And
And
then
don't get me wrong,
they made Halo 3.
I like Halo 3 to a point, but I
I
think for the time too.
Halo 3 had a kind of cool story to it. It had some interesting narrative, but it toned down all the fun parts of Halo 2, and the
Yes.
multiplayer on Halo 3 was just dull.
I
Although I appreciate firefight mode. Wait, was that
I
in 3?
no.
That was an ODST, wasn't it?
I think yes.
Firefight mode is cool. That was the
Halo
first Horde mode game I really played, and goddamn, it was fun.
I I like Firefight the most in Reach because it's like the refined,
Yeah.
obviously.
I would have liked Firefight if they'd refined it for Halo 4, but they didn't because
Oh,
they're dicks.
you're you're really good at knowing what pisses me off. Bringing, 'cause, God damn it, that was like, what were they thinking? Like, hey, we're gonna give you this other mode, and it's like, no, we want Firefight.
Halo 4 was just a series of disappointments, like guns, the new guns, the red ones, which I can't remember. The four, no, what the fuck were those things called?
The Forerunners.
No, they weren't, like, I mean, they were Forerunners, but the things you were fighting, the digital life form things. Promethean. The Prometheans.
Mm,
The Promethean weapons. They look so badass. Have you
yeah,
seen how you reload those things? You push
yeah,
a button,
yeah.
they fall apart in space like you're Dr. Manhattan disassembling
They
a tank.
levitate midair and kind of.
Yeah, and then you
Oh,
put ammo in, and they eat the ammo, and you fire them, and that's so brilliantly designed. It's too bad they feel like ass.
yeah. It's everything about. Here's the thing about Halo 4, and it's kind of tying into what you said. I was like, I think it's time for them to say we are going to start moving away from the Covenant. And when I heard about new enemies, I said, yes, good, we need that. We need new Halo.
And then you fight the Covenant.
Well, I did fight the Covenant, and I fought the Forerunners, And after saying we need new enemies, I said these new enemies are more boring than the Covenant. So what the fuck am I gonna do now?
Yeah.
Guess I'll have to get a life.
And the story was just the story irritated me. You are
Yeah.
the genetically destined Ubermensch sent by, like, you were planned out thousands of years ago so that specifically your development would happen so that some ghost of a librarian could empower you to survive a single super weapon so that you could... I don't fucking know. What is up with this? Who wrote this? You
And
think they were on acid when they were writing Pacific Rim? I think they just watched Godzilla and Gundam Wing at the same time. This requires hard drug use.
I agree. I agree. And you know what? In the end of that game, the way it ends, none of it fucking matters. They just hit they hit the reset button at the end of that game because they killed off all the new enemies, and it's like, okay, right back to square one.
You know what
are
else?
do now?
You know what else is stupid in the story is the whole thing about Cortana undergoing rampancy, which is, kind of cool. AI Alzheimer's, and you can emote with her, you can empathize with her. She's degrading and she's no longer functioning, and that's her sole thing. And essentially she's dying slowly. If you look around in that game, you can find an audio log, again, placed poorly because you're in combat when you find it, probably, that talks about how there was an AI that once survived rampancy and got over it and then moved past it. Fun fact, that AI was Cortana. So that kind of renders the entire story moot, because she's had this problem before and fixed it before, and now, if the developers had felt like just saying, let's pretend that didn't happen, fine, whatever. But they didn't. They specifically alluded to it and then ignored it. Okay.
You see, these are the nuggets of dog shit in Halo's good storytelling. They have these nuggets that glare out.
Yeah, and normally it's like 1 through 3, and even ODST and Reach, competent storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing really stands out about them.
It's a lot of missed potential. It's enjoyable, but
yeah, it's a good candy game. And then there's 4, and
I think 4, to be generous, I think 4 is a decent start, but they really shot themselves in the foot for like where are they going to go now? Like that game basically didn't happen. Nothing that you like I said, they killed off. As far as I remember, I believe they kill off the Forerunners. It's like, okay, so wait.
So there's none of those now.
Nothing. It's like that game didn't happen.
Yeah, there's no moving forward. I guess part of Africa got vaporized. That's pretty much it.
They need to understand that they cannot be Call of Duty and continue to regurgitate this game, because I think
they have to make progress. It's a sci-fi thing. They can do that. They can advance the story. It's okay. We don't mind.
I hope they have the skills to do so, because I wanted to believe in them, and then 4 happened, and I was like, this game's okay, I guess, but I played it before. I actually think I hate to say it, but I think fighting the Covenant in that game, I love the feel of the weapons. I actually really enjoyed fighting the Covenant, even though
they made all the human and Covenant weapons feel even better.
Yeah.
And then the ones they added in themselves, the Promethean weapons, feel like you're farting on the enemy.
Yeah, and they ran into the same complaint I had with Halo 2, where they have human weapons and then a regurgitated alien form for no fucking reason.
Well, I actually like it because the the Covenant and human weapons... Or wait, are you talking about the way that the Promethean weapons are all basically humans?
I'm saying the Promethean weapons, and if you look at Halo 2, the Covenant weapons, they seem to feel the need to have a Covenant version of every human weapon. That's almost the same thing, except for it's a little better at taking down shields.
Now, I actually really like that because it makes a lot of sense narratively. The Covenant aren't using human rifles. They're using Covenant rifles. So it makes sense for there to be Covenant rifles. And...
But I don't feel like they're different enough, though.
Well, for the most part, the Covenant fight other alien races that have shields, so yeah, their guns are better at taking down shields. And a lot of them, yeah, it's mostly that. That's the big difference. The Covenant weapons are to take down shields, and the human weapons are to finish people off. And it makes you can get a good combo flowing with them. And some of them have different mild elements, like the overheating on the Covenant weapons versus the reloading on the human weapons. Also, the Covenant weapons look way cooler because they don't just fire bullets. But the Promethean weapons don't even have that. The Promethean weapons are literally just pistol, shotgun, assault rifle, rocket launcher. And there's no... They do exactly the same.
There's no real thought.
They might as well be human weapons.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess a good example would be Halo 2 in the beginning before they started patching all the guns, especially on PC. If you've ever played it on PC, the guns now are dramatically different like that. But anyway, carbine and battle rifle in Halo 2, very, very similar.
The battle rifle fires a burst, though, while the carbine only fires a single shot. And the carbine actually... Carbine is one of the few Covenant weapons that cannot pierce shields as well, while the battle rifle is the only human weapon that can, because it was designed to fight the Covenant. Fun trivia facts from somebody who knows way too much about Halo.
Well, I played Halo 2 recently on PC. I dug it out of a box, and that Covenant, that carbine, Covenant carbine,
cool.
It shoots as fast as you can pull the trigger now.
Yeah.
And they never...
Wait, hang on, no. It does what now?
Yeah, it fires as fast as you can pull that trigger.
That seems like that would break the balance of it a little bit.
They did a lot of balancing. Well, here, fun fact, Halo 2 was never balanced, and that was my biggest complaint about that game. It was run to a decent gun, and if you didn't, you were dead.
I don't know. I always felt like every gun... Well, I mean, obviously, there are higher levels of guns that are better than pistols, but...
A single submachine gun is worthless in that game. Completely worthless.
If you're playing, like, solo deathmatch. If you're playing with a team, it's great.
It's better with a team, but...
Everything's better on a team.
The dual wielding, I really liked it, but it was not really thought through as far as you were just fucked. Like, Halo 1, the multiplayer in that game, it only had a handful of guns, and they were each really well balanced.
They weren't?
Yeah, they were.
If you played Halo 1, you can kill someone with a pistol with two shots at any range.
Not 2 shots.
You can. 2 shots.
If 2 shots to the head.
If you headshot someone with a pistol, it drops their shields.
Maybe I was just really good at that game, because I never felt like I bumped into the same complaints with Halo 1 as I did with Halo 2. Halo 2 was, spawn with this submachine gun, hope to God I pick up something, and if I don't, then there's no hope. Because there's always somebody with something else better than me. And they eventually kind of curbed that with patching, but...
I think you only really... I mean, that problem exists, obviously, but there are ways to mitigate it. Grenades equalize everybody, and using stealth and melee attacks on people with rocket launchers is just the most satisfying thing.
Yeah. Now, you know how I played Halo 2? You know, Halo 2 was awesome for me?
How?
SWAT only. Battle rifles, no shields. That's the only way I played Halo 2 at Job Corps.
You basically just wanted to play Counter-Strike, but couldn't get a hold of it.
I never cared for Counter-Strike.
I did not either.
Anyway, we've been talking about Halo for a long time.
We wanted to talk about new games, didn't we?
Yeah, well, it's fine. It's like if people... But here's the thing about podcasting. So many people come to me like, what's the plan? Like, what's the layout? Give me a bulleted list. And I'm like, you don't listen to podcasts.
Yeah,
dude.
That's not how it works.
No, and people that listen to podcasts are usually driving, so they want more, and it doesn't fucking matter what it is.
Really?
They just need something to kill. That's the way I feel. Giant Bombs podcast goes for 3 hours, and I never feel like I get enough.
I mostly listened to podcasts back when I was in college and had literally nothing else to do. And I went through, I think, everything that Sean Kennedy ever said.
Who's Sean Kennedy?
Canadian guy who yells about things.
Okay. The only Canadian.
Actually, I'm going to recommend something of his. Do you like cyberpunk stuff?
Kind of. I read Snow Crash for a college class once. Oh,
Sounds like
fucking.
sounds like a great class. Although
It was sci-fi literature.
that
It was.
book has some issues.
Let's not talk about Snow Crash.
Man, I wish my teacher for I took a sci-fi literature class too. I wish my teacher had made me read Snow Crash instead of God, what was it? The Left Hand of Darkness? That Ursula K. Le Guin book?
I haven't heard of it. I'd say a teacher fucked up if he had a sci-fi literature class and didn't have you read Snow Crash. Unless this is like...
Well, there's a lot of sci-fi books. And it is a classic sci-fi novel. It's just an awful classic sci-fi novel.
Well, there's a lot of things about Snow Crash I find to be awful.
Yes.
It's a very inventive book. The core of that book is highly important to internet today. It's like a book written for 13-year-olds that have a college-level brain, and I don't think those people exist.
You just described everything Neil Stephenson has ever written.
Yep.
Even Diamond Age has the same problem.
Do you think Neil Stephenson's an intelligent idiot?
I think he's really smart and has a lot of really cool ideas, and I think he couldn't write his way out of a wet paper bag.
I think he would make a great college professor.
Probably. God, he'd stand up and he'd ramble about things. You know what? He'd be the podcast. He should have a podcast. He should just talk for hours.
He's Dot Hack Sign in human form.
Okay.
Fucking Dot Hack Sign. God, sorry. Thinking about that show makes me very angry and how many people like it for no good reason.
I like how there's an entire genre of shows now for people trapped in MMOs.
Yeah. I'm a huge nerd, but I'm not that nerdy.
Like, there was Dot Hack. Recently there was Sword Art Online, which is debatably good.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea of it.
Like Halo?
I like Halo.
No, I know. I like
Actually, no, it is exactly like Halo because I would recommend people watch the first half of Sword Art Online and then stop and pretend there is no more. In the same way I would recommend you play Halo 1, 2, ODST and Reach and then stop.
3's okay. 3 actually, here's the thing about 3. Enormous difference if you play with somebody else. Co-op in that game is almost the way that it was meant to play.
Really? Because I played it co-op the first time through.
I played it solo and co-op, and I actually really enjoyed it with someone else. Solo, I was like, it's fine. 3 is fine. I think it's the most balanced out of all of the Halo games, I think.
The last level in 3, where you're like driving along the ship as it's collapsing.
That's cool.
Playing that co-op is fucking hilarious because one person is going to get on the mongoose and they're going to get ahead of the other person and the other person's going to be back there screaming as the floor falls out from under them.
Did that game have the problem where you'd respawn directly in front of a vehicle?
It did not.
Okay, Halo 1
finally fixed that, yes.
Oof. I think most of Halo, thinking back on co-op, is just us dying from the game's kind of janky, co-op design.
I once had somebody spawn in front of me, facing away from me, as I was doing a melee attack, and immediately killed them.
Oh, you say once.
Yeah. Well, after that, I stopped doing it.
Did you just run around hammering the melee button when you were bored?
Kinda.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, sometimes I pretend like it was an accident. But, new games that weren't made a decade ago.
Yes. I got one.
Okay.
Actually, I got a ton of games I picked up on the Steam sale. But mostly Teleglitch, because you want to talk about zombies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. The main topic... God. The main topic will be zombies. We'll get to that eventually. This may be a long podcast.
Teleglitch, specifically the Die More edition. Now, fair warning, I have not played the Die Less edition.
Is it called Die Less?
I don't think so. I don't know if that even exists.
Okay.
But I do not think this name is inaccurate.
Okay.
This is something I would consider a roguelike. Have you played this?
No, I haven't.
Teleglitch is a top-down shooter where you are the only surviving scientist in a planetary facility, like the entire planet is a facility, that researches military-grade hardware. And the AI has gone crazy, and everything is nuts. And you are trying to get from teleporter to teleporter and get out, and Jesus Christ, you will die a lot. It starts you off with like a pistol, a knife, a tin can, and a disgusting amount of explosives.
Can I just take the lid off the tin can? Because I fucked myself up real bad on tin cans.
You can eventually turn the tin can into armor.
Okay.
Shortly after, yeah, when you get enough tin cans, you can craft it into armor. This will probably happen shortly after you graduate from fighting random packs of mutants and zombies up to fighting a half dozen heavily armed war robots that can kill you in one shot at once. The game has this disgusting difficulty spike where as soon as you get good with circle strafing the mutants and stabbing them with your pitiful knife, and you can get through the first level without taking damage, and then you get to like the second or third level, and a random guard will come around the corner, shoot you with his machine gun, and you will be dead. And then you get to start over.
I'm watching gameplay of this. I think I might like it. It kind of reminds me of I made a game with zombies in it. Did you play that?
I did not. Is its name
What?
accurate?
Do you have an Xbox 360?
No.
God damn it. Well, I don't know what to tell you. So I actually have a YouTube video, and all I did was steal that song, put it on YouTube. I think it's got thousands and thousands of likes and views. And it's the only YouTube video I have that has a considerable amount of views. That song, you should look it up. It's the game that it has lyrics like I made it. It's like well, you should just look it up. I can't remember the lyrics of the song, but the song is half the reason why that game is great. And it's just like I think it's like a 10-minute game, but it was like the first $1 indie game on Xbox Live, so it made it okay. And it's 4-player co-op, and it's amazing. So and the flashing and everything. I'm glad I don't have epilepsy.
From I made a game with zombies in it.
That game, if you have epilepsy, you should not play it.
I'm actually going to say the same thing about Teleglitch.
I love that stuff.
The game seems designed to induce headaches.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you go, like all the machinery in the entire game, there's like generators and steam things, and they all make these grating noises that burrow into your brain. And when you get to the end of the level teleporter, it makes this really loud cracking sound, and there's this bright flash of colored light, and it hurts my eyes. And the worst part is, there is no, like, I know they did this on purpose. I know they hate their players, because there's no sound option. You can turn the volume down, but you have to turn all the volume down, and it turns out that listening to audio cues for mutants and war robots is mildly important.
Yeah. I actually like, as prone as I am to headaches, I'm pretty damn invincible when it comes to video games. Like, I'll throw up on the Ferris wheel, but I have zero stomach for motion. But I love games that are just like, oh, you want to focus on these enemies? Well, too fucking bad. We're going to make everything go crazy for you. And I actually like that for whatever reason. That might be a game on my list to buy someday.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I like those top-down shooters. It's just there's a lot of shit.
It's kind of clever. It gives you a lot of options.
Is there upgrading?
Yeah, you can scavenge stuff and make a variety of different upgrades. Not a whole lot of them, but enough
Is the
that
crafting difficult?
No.
Good.
You hit C. It tells you what you can make with what you have. You pick something you want to make and hit the button for it.
Good. Okay. Because most games with crafting, it's like, hey, are you an engineer? Well, too fucking bad.
God. There's a game I absolutely love. It's called Cataclysm: Dark Days Ahead. It is not to be confused with the MMO. It's a roguelike game that is every apocalypse at once, and it also has zombies. And
Okay.
it's a great game, still in development. I absolutely have spent too much time on it. In the crafting menu, because crafting is a big part of it, under electronics, there are three things that you can make that tie into each other: amplifier circuits, transponder circuits, and power converters. Making an amplifier circuit requires two transponder circuits. Making a transponder requires two power converters.
Ugh.
Making a power converter requires two amplifier circuits.
Ugh.
And the cycle of entropy is complete.
You see, I don't like games that feel like work, and it seems like there are a lot of people out there that do.
Yeah.
I don't even like puzzles. Like the moment a puzzle shows up, I feel like I'm working and not having fun.
You should play Papers, Please.
I I love old Bullfrog games like Theme Hospital and Theme Park. I don't. Papers, Please is not a puzzle though. You're just kind
Sure
of
it is.
it's a lot of interaction.
That, well, okay, sure, but there's puzzly elements to it. You're
I don't like the
essentially
part where it's like how
essentially
the
it's
fuck do I
a
get to the
compare these
store?
two images thing.
I don't like the part where it's like, oh, how do I get through the store? Oh, here's this amount of work I have to do to get through the store.
That's fair.
It's just it's not fun. It's like I work enough at work.
Remember back when there were key card puzzles
Oh.
in gigantic air quotes?
The
It's
reason
like,
why
here's a door. Go a different direction until you can come back this direction.
I believe the only reason those existed was to, um, it was their way of getting around their own shitty level design because games were very primitive back then. So
I don't know. Like Doom had those, and Doom has
Yep.
some pretty spectacular level design. And
I
with the
love
exception
to.
of the backtracking, the keycard puzzles it lets them make a level within a certain area. Like they have a 100 by 100 square area to build a level in, and if it's all just a straight line, it doesn't feel like there's any options for the player. So the keycard puzzles let them force player exploration and then also branch their level out sideways so they can have more level in that area.
But the second I get lost in the hour following it, where I'm
It-
still
the-
lost,
The game has a map.
it doesn't help me. I have no sense. I have zero internal compass.
The game has a compass.
Does it? What?
Yeah, the map has a compass.
Oh, I never. Yeah, I don't remember. I think I beat Doom 1. I'm not sure. I played a lot of it. Anyway,
So-
here we go, continuing down old game rabbit hole. Who needs new games? All you need is Doom.
All right, so should we take a break and
Yes.
clip this out? Okay,
God, I have to pee so badly.
you go do that.
And we are back from bathroom hiatus. That's what I'm calling it.
That sure, okay.
Sounds like a good band name.
Bathroom hiatus. I'll put it on the list.
You have a long list.
Absolutely yes.
I like. Do you ever watch Vlog Brothers?
No, been meaning to though.
They have a. They were talking about. Long story short, there's this scientist or someone that discovered that putting a TV in front of chickens, with these chickens just doing normal chicken stuff like pecking at the ground or whatever, helps calm them down and keeps the chickens from killing each other, which is real common. And anyway, point is, he called it TV for chickens, and he decided that would make a great band name.
That would make a good band name.
Mm-hmm. So what does that have to do with video games?
Not a goddamn thing.
Nope. So what else have you been playing?
Well, let's check my list here. I picked up Starbound.
Okay.
It exists.
Jeff Gerstmann's been talking about that game lately.
I get the feeling that it'll be better when it's done. And I really...
What?
What?
Oh, I'm being sarcastic.
Like, yeah, okay, I just realized how fucking obvious that sounds. Obvious,
Early
yes,
access.
duh, it will be better when it's done. But I get the feeling that it's in beta, and I kind of regret buying it, because there's enough there to make me think that it could be good. some things aren't implemented and it's still kind of buggy. So I'm just going to let it sit there for a while and come back to it later.
You see, one of the things on Giant Bomb has a series of lists for Game of the Year, and one of their lists was worst new trend, and
Early
one of their
access.
yes. Did you listen to it or?
I did not. I don't actually listen to a lot of podcasts these days. Well, that's a complete lie. I listen to different podcasts.
That was one of their. I don't care. I don't remember if it won, but I like early access. I think it's good for the industry until everybody is doing it.
First early access thing I bought? Minecraft. I bought Minecraft the day after it went out.
Really?
Yeah, I was like one of the first few thousand people to pick up the alpha. And
Wow.
you know what? When I got that game, I didn't leave my house for the next month. I sat there and stared at my computer screen and I built worlds and I felt like God for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, more so than my ego normally lets me.
Mm-hmm.
And I never felt like that was wasted money. And every update gives more and more stuff, but that game was complete and enjoyable from the moment I put down cash for it. And that is what I think early access should be, where we've made this game, it doesn't have everything we want in it yet, but
what's there
the
and
experience is there.
Mhm.
Starbound does not feel like the experience is there. Starbound feels like it's mediocre Terraria.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of Terraria-like games out there, and you gotta identify yourself as something different.
Yeah. And Starbound it's kind of cool, but like the idea is cool. Travel around and explore different planets. I'm on board with that. I want to play Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, some of it feels awkward, like combat and mining and crafting and oh god, I just described the entire game.
Yep. Here's the thing about all those games that allow me to build stuff. I don't want to build anything. I don't like to create a damn thing. It's not part of my DNA, but I really like to enjoy what other people build. And I like to be, for example, if I was to do a TV show, for example, or whatever, I would want to be part of the team of writers bouncing back and forth with each other on ideas. I don't want to be responsible for the sole thing because it's a lot of work and I would get bored quickly and I'm worthless on my own, but I'm great with other people.
So did you ever play Minecraft?
No, I didn't. If I had a group of people to play with and they built everything and I just got and then blow it up.
My friends and I used to do a thing where we'd form into teams of 3. So, like 3 teams usually, 2 or 3. There are not a lot of us. And then each team would build a dungeon. And dungeon in this case in like the D&D sense, where an enclosed adventure area. And we had a bunch of mods that we used on our server. And then we trade off with the other teams. Like, save the file, trade off, run through the other team's dungeon, and just see who has the most fun thing to play.
Could you drop enemies in?
Yes.
Okay.
The command blocks give you a lot of flexibility. You can spawn enemies, you can build... We were doing all sorts of crazy stuff, like building secret doors and puzzles and like narrative clues, loot.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was a lot of fun, and you'd probably get a kick out of doing that, not the building part, but you can very easily create stuff that you can share with other players and they can see like the tone you were going for or the overall theme. Like, Minecraft is very simple, and so it lets your imagination kick into overdrive.
That sounds like fun. I don't know if at this point I'm going to try to get into a big game like that. Maybe. I keep burying myself in Steam games.
Yeah.
What usually
Thank you,
happens
Winter
is-
Sale.
Yeah, and it's getting worse because I have a podcast. and I say, hey, if I buy this, I'll have something to talk about. So it ends up saying it's okay, and then sometimes I don't like the games.
Yeah.
So, um, so yeah, you've been playing Starbound. Anything else?
Let's see. Actually, I have a rather large list here. I'm going to run through these as with one sentence explanations.
Okay.
Super Hexagon. It was 30 cents, and it's an adequate distraction.
Wow, I don't think I've ever seen a cheaper game than that on Steam, except for Left 4 Dead 2, which is free.
Yeah, that's a good. Free is a very good price. Viva V, Viva V.
Oh yes, V.
This game is making me flip out. Pun intended.
Oh,
There you go.
there.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Bionic Dues. I really thought that robot strategy with long-term strategic options would be a lot more fun than this. Miasmata. You're a diseased guy on an island trying to do science to things, and I think there are monsters.
Okay. This should all be a lot more fitting if I was like high or something, because this all sounds like someone's crazy drug induced. Never been high though. Fun fact: never have consumed weed in any fashion.
Legal in Colorado now.
It's legal in Washington too.
Yeah. Well, it's legal to own it in Washington. It's not legal to buy or sell it.
That's fine. I think here's my. I don't want to go on a pot rabbit trail because it's a deep topic. Making it legal will hurt drug dealers and nobody else. Period. Anybody that fights it is a retard. That's my firm opinion.
Making it legal will just make drug dealers richer. The drug dealers that are above board and legitimate about their business. Colorado, day one, $1 million worth of sales.
Yep.
One day. It was a Wednesday. It wasn't like everybody was gearing up for Saturday night. It was a Wednesday.
Well, okay, I don't want to profile people that smoke weed, but I don't think there's a bad time for anybody that smokes weed to say, let's smoke some weed.
I don't know, because like I used to think that too. I used to have a mental image of the stoner, and it was a lot of people I went to college with, where they're just kind of like the kind of people that wear stupid hats and don't cut their hair and skip class. And that second one is really kind of silly because I don't cut my hair either, but I don't smoke. And then one of my I was talking to one of my friends, and she mentions to me, "Oh yeah, I walked in on my parents smoking pot yesterday." What?
That must have been shocking. You clenched your chest real hard.
That's I've met her parents. Her dad, they own. Okay, her dad's a minister.
Oh, it's good.
Her mom does like counseling work at a church. They own a retirement home. They're not like lazy people. They're oddly religious and hardworking and kind of stuffy, and I guess also stoners.
They probably have to compensate for all that stuffiness.
Yeah,
by burning it.
And so ever since that, I don't really have. I can't imagine this singular vision of a stoner, and it makes a lot of sense that people who work but want to get high would do it on the weekend.
Yeah. Well, I've never done it. Like, what's the next morning like after you smoked weed?
I have no idea. I've never been stoned.
Well, that makes two of us. Only two people on the face of the fucking earth that haven't smoked. I tell people, and I'm in Portland, so liberals everywhere. I tell people that I haven't smoked weed, and they look at me like I have lobsters coming out of my ears. Like, they're like, what the fuck?
It kind of clashes with my personal philosophy on intelligence.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree with that. Well,
most of the people I know. If it changes who I am, it's essentially killing me, albeit temporarily. I don't want to deal with the existential crisis that puts me through.
Well, here's the thing about pot is, from what I've heard, it's good with anxiety, and anxiety really runs in the family. I see it I see my dad, and uh, anything that is not as toxic as alcohol that can help me cope with the stress of work and life sounds great. And the fact that alcohol is legal and pot is not is
Bizarre.
yeah. Well, it boils down to business. I mean, I
Were
think
we
it's
talking about video games? This
no.
is too serious. We should switch back to that.
Yeah, that's why I was afraid of bringing up weed.
Long
Anyway.
live the Queen. I'm not British. It's a game.
Oh, okay.
It's a roguelike princess simulator.
Okay.
I'm actually giving it a little too much credit. It's more like a visual novel. It doesn't have a lot of random elements to it, but it feels like a roguelike because you are supposed to guide a princess until her 16th birthday and her coronation because her mom just died. And you're probably going to die a lot on the way there.
Is this like a top-down game or a
It's very much a visual novel kind of game. Um,
is it like Walking Dead or like a point-and-click thing or what's the gameplay like?
every week you do two things. You decide what classes she's going to attend and thus what skills will be raised. And then at the end of the week there is a skill check for whatever event happens and you make a decision or a number of decisions for whatever's going on at the time.
Is this game Japanese?
No.
Damn it.
It definitely feels like it though. Like it does. It's heavily inspired by visual novels, and which are a decidedly Japanese thing. And it's actually based off of like Princess Maker, which was a thing that Atlas put out a while back.
Okay.
Which is one of the more bizarre things that Atlas put out, and I'm saying that about the people that made Catherine.
Atlas is a weird company. They are I think they're going to be around for a long Wait, no, didn't Atlas
Nope, they're still around.
Okay.
Which
Yeah,
is good, because they haven't made Persona 5 yet. I love Persona.
I don't play a lot of Japanese games. I used to.
Persona 3 and 4 are games that I... Have you heard of those at all?
I've heard of them and don't really have any too much of that dadgum reading.
They have very traditional JRPG combat styles, menu-based combat, tactical orders and whatnot. It's boring as hell. And I found myself just about the point when I was getting bored with the combat, after about half an hour of playing the game, I realized that I was really, really interested in the characters, which is a big part of it. You spend time with other NPCs and you make friends with them, and that's like a huge focus of the game. It even ties into the combat. You can create stronger personas, which are like brain Pokemon, based on your social links with other characters. But I didn't even care about that. I just wanted to hang out with my friends from high school and talk to the woman I met on the subway, and it's like... It's a game that actually gives you interesting character stories and lets you explore them, and I love it.
It's kind of funny because it's one of those games that just takes all the typical things from real life and for whatever reason becomes more interesting just because it's a video game.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it works.
Well, it's all the most interesting parts of real life, and it plays out quicker.
True.
Also, if you ever feel like it, you can go into the nightmare that used to be your high school and fight demons for money.
I think high school would have been a lot better with fighting demons.
I know, right? My friends and I frequently discuss this, that if there was, around here, a building that turned into a monster-infested hive at midnight, and we had 1 hour to explore it, and it was filled with like things that would kill us on sight, but also briefcases full of money. Yeah, we're going into that building.
Everything falls apart like Silent Hill. All the walls, all the paint peels off, and everything.
Yeah, and we're going in there, and we're going in armed, and we're coming out rich.
You're making me excited. This sounds like a good idea. God. I don't want to go down a Silent Hill rabbit hole, but I do love those old games. And then Whitey got a hold of it, and everything fell apart.
It wasn't even that. It was It was still a Japanese developer that fucked up Silent Hill.
What didn't it like change hands after 3?
Yeah, Silent Hill
They
Shattered Memories and Silent Hill something something subtitle.
I'm talking like 4 and on. Like I did
I
not
didn't
think
even know there
4
was a
was.
4.
Yeah, well, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then they had like the PSP game, which was also ported to
That's
PS2.
Shattered Memories. Really?
No.
Shattered Memories is a PSP game though.
This was the game where you're the trucker.
Okay, that's a different one.
Yeah,
But
this
it's
is a
also a
little.
PSP game. So we're both on the
Yeah,
internet. Why aren't we looking this up? Too lazy.
yeah, you answered the question right there.
But yeah, it's changed between Japanese and American developers. But I mean, remember, it was Konami themselves who put out the HD remake of the original Silent Hill.
Oof, and
The,
from what I heard, that was a train wreck.
it removed all the fog.
Idiots. I don't know what it's like.
You know that
they're-
stuff that made the game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if they looked at it from a technical perspective and said this fog is here so the game runs better, we don't need it anymore, then
But
okay, and
it's
then you
what
remove
made
it
the
and the game
game-
sucks without it. Put it back.
Yeah, yeah.
What? It's like companies that say, "How can we fuck? Let's do everything that fucks up the series." It's mind blowing that they can't make a real Silent Hill game. They need to sell that franchise, but I know they never will.
They need to burn that franchise so it
Yeah.
cannot be messed with anymore.
Yeah. Anyway, anything else you've been playing?
Um, I started Valda's Story, which is an action platformer RPG, but it controls like a fighting game. Like you have hit combos and move cancels, and I don't know. I did not realize that's how it controlled when I bought it because it was $3 and it was a Steam sale.
Oh, I saw that game and I almost bought it, but I said, "Stop it!"
Your wallet ripped itself out of your pants and physically assaulted you.
It flew away like the clocks with wings on them or whatever.
But yeah, I'm not sure if I like it or not yet. It does that in media res thing where you are a character that has an established history and all these established relationships and opinions, but it drops you in right in the middle of it. And
Okay.
and it puts the character in a situation that's new to them, but it makes absolutely zero sense that this person who is out hunting a demon king at the start of the game starts at level 1.
Okay.
And like seriously, the game starts with you and your 3 other allies, all of which are playable and have their own unique stories, I think. So if nothing else, the game has some replay value. But the 3 of you are on a boat and you find the last knight of hell and you plan on kicking his ass and interrogating him. And from the sound of it, he's running from you, so you're fully capable of kicking his ass and interrogating him. And then there's a thing with demon whales that attack you, and you go down into a sunken city, and it doesn't really explain it very
Rapture.
well. It looks okay. It plays really smoothly. I just don't know if I'm gonna give a shit about it for much longer.
Yeah, it's
Like,
not that.
the mechanics are not enough to hold me to it.
Mhm. Well, there's been something that's been happening lately, and it's everyone's noticing that all the 2D Castlevania games have been regurgitated for the longest fucking time, and so I think some developers are saying, let's make our own. And I keep looking at them and saying, hey, this looks good. And I play it and I say, this ain't good.
Yeah.
What was that other one where you looked like, the graphics kind of looked like Spelunky, but it was like Castlevania?
That's a very good question. Let's find out.
Because I have it and regret buying it.
You look it up.
Well, I have about 200
I cannot
Steam
find
games
stuff
to
on
sift
Steam.
through.
I cannot find stuff on Steam by typing in that game that looks like Spelunky but isn't.
Well, I'm gonna call Gabe Newell and give him a piece of my mind.
Yes, because he totally controls both
He
Spelunky and not Spelunky, but kind of looks like it.
he needs to cater to my 200 game Steam list that I can't sift through.
Why don't you put stuff in categories?
I need to.
Do you... Okay, I actually have categories on my Steam list, and from top to bottom they are bugged as shit, bugged but...
That's all your early access games right there.
That actually contains 2 games. Sword of the Stars 2 and Orion Dino Horde, which was supposed to be like Left 4 Dead with dinosaurs, but...
I own that game. What a disappointment.
Oh, seriously.
Ugh.
Bugged but not that bad.
This is funny.
A rather long list of games that I have tagged as could be fun if it wasn't bad.
Okay.
Games I have finished. Games I will eventually finish, but that is totally a lie. I'm probably never going to come back to them. Fucking obstructionist DRM. That contains Might and Magic.
Okay.
All the games I'm playing right now. All the games that have replay value. And then a gigantic pile of games that are simply not fun. And it's amazing once you go through your list and start ticking stuff off into not fun, you start to realize just how not fun some things are. And you wonder, like, it's not that you feel bad for buying them, it's that you feel liberated from your Steam library. Once you have them all in there, you can close that list forever and never
and
look
ignore
back.
it.
And every time, sometimes I start to think to myself, you know, I remember I'm looking through here. Mountain Blade. You know, I played a lot of that. I played 36 hours of that. I must have had fun with it if I played that much, right? It must be an okay game. I'll take it out of my list and install it. And I did this recently, and I played for about 30 seconds and said, that's why. Back onto the list.
La Mulana is the game that I'm talking about.
La Mulana.
It has the same problem that Volgar has, where the jumping sucks and I die a lot because
How do you spell that?
LA-MULANA.
There we go.
It looks really good, but it's not. And there's no clear...
This really does look like Spelunky.
It looks like Spelunky and Castlevania together, which sounds like a winning combination, but it's not a good game.
Yeah.
There's just so many mediocre indie games, cute Super Nintendo wannabe games, and don't get me wrong, when I play a good one, it's one of the best games I've ever seen.
I was playing Spelunky before it was on Steam, and I actually prefer the original version of Spelunky, and I love that thing.
I haven't played it yet. I own it, but I haven't played it yet.
I recommend the free version. I really do.
Oh yeah?
The controls are a bit crisper. There's...
What are these platformers that can't fucking get controls? If there's one thing...
Well, that's the weird thing. It's the same dev team. And it's just in the Steam version, or the updated version of Spelunky, which is on Steam. Sometimes you'll get stuck on ledges. Like, you'll grab a ledge when you really don't want to, because just being in contact with the ledge will make your character grab it. Whereas in the original PC version, that's still free, by the way... you have to actually hold the button towards the ledge to grab on. I feel like that makes a lot more sense. You must do it on purpose. Jumping feels a bit better. Running feels a little bit faster in the original. Spikes were way less ambiguous. So were a lot of the enemies.
Was there a point where, maybe it's just because 2D games kind of fell out for a long, long time, but I feel like 2D platformers are getting rebooted, and we're running to all the same shit we did on the Nintendo, where you had a few games that played really well,
and then everything else that just couldn't. Yeah. But yeah, and that's actually why I find Spelunky fucking bizarre, because it's the same guy who did it right the first time, and then screwed it up again. And actually, what really aggravates me is the updated version has a ton more content.
It has. So you want that content, but you like the performance of the original.
Yeah, like, I can consistently do City of Gold runs in Spelunky now, and I feel like I've mastered pretty much everything it can throw at me. But the updated version has, oh, you can go into hell. There's a ton of little side levels. You can get eaten by a giant worm and fight your way through its guts. Like, yeah, sign me up for that.
Do you see the Dante's Inferno guy fighting dudes while you're down there?
You
That
know,
was a joke.
I would not be surprised if you did.
God, Dante's Inferno is a very well-made game. Have you played Dante's Inferno?
I did not like Dante's Inferno.
Well, I like the storytelling. I like the acting. It has very good production value, but the point where I stopped was when I got to like the babies and stuff. Um, I respect their iron will and not holding back.
No,
How-
see, that's the thing. Is they diverged so hard from the original story.
Mm,
And it's
That
not
I
iron.
understand.
It's not iron will. It's not devotion to storytelling. They really just wanted shock value so that people would buy
Yeah.
their game.
and that's what stopped me from playing it because my
Also, they falsified protests against their own game. They hired people to pretend to be religious protesters to fake protest their game. That's your marketing. Yeah.
all you have to do is say, "This is what we're going for." If you're offended, I'm sorry. That's all. And you know how many
Or
tons of
actually,
people do
if
that.
if you really want to go for shock value, say we're going for this motif, and if you don't like it, fuck off. It's
Yeah,
not for
yeah.
you.
Yeah, I agree. You don't need to spend money on lawyers, like or whatever, And I knew the game was gonna be rough because you're going into hell, but holy damn, it was a little too shocking for its own good. But anyway, moving on to what you've been playing.
Aside from those things, like, I've been dabbling in these new games lately, but nothing really big. Mostly, when I have some free time to kill, but I don't want to, when I just have like an hour or two, and I don't want to get really deep into a game I've just picked up and I want to play for the story, I just keep going back to League of Legends.
Yeah, sometimes it's kind of like watching the same movie again where you're not totally sure what you want, so you pick an experience you enjoy.
Yeah, well, I know I can. I'm not entirely sure if I enjoy this game.
It's just really addictive.
It's pretty fun. Like, have you played it?
No, I haven't. I'm not that big into multiplayer gaming anymore.
Yeah, I was not either, and I'm still not really. But the controls are nice. The feel of the game is satisfying when you do something right. And when you do something wrong, or whenever you die, it usually feels like it's your fault. Like, when you lose a whole game, it might have been because someone else in your team fucked up, no matter how well you were doing, and that doesn't feel very good. But when you die, it's never because it's always you. It's on your head, and I love it when games do that. And
Yeah, I don't like I was saying earlier, dying because the design controls whatever.
challenging, not punishing.
Yeah.
I do have a big problem with it, though, which is, this is going to sound bizarre. When I play League, I normally play with one of my roommates and a couple of our friends from the internet. I mean, from Canada. Whatever, same thing.
He lives on the internet.
Yeah.
Stepped in the snow crash and was never let out.
But yeah, they're all three of them are actually, they play ranked games, so they're a bit more serious than me. And two of the three of them are ranked fairly highly. So when the four of us get together and play normal games, we get matched up against people at their skill level, not mine. And I'm not that good at the game.
Ranking is the bane of internet gaming.
Yeah, but here's what annoys me is I keep winning. And so lately, I go to play games on my own, and my MMR, which I think stands for matchmaking rating, has been inflated to a disgusting level. So I'm getting matched up with people. I am ranked bronze 1. That's not too bad. I'm, better than 40 or 50% of the player base.
Mhm.
I'm getting matched up with players who are like Diamond 4, Diamond 5.
Oh.
That's not. I played a game where all 9 people, my team and the other team, every single one of them was in Diamond.
Are you winning against these
Yes!
people?
And so
Wow.
it's the problem continues, but I'm not winning because I'm good. I'm winning because, of random flukes.
Do you just know how to goose the game?
Not a clue.
Okay.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Because that could take me right back to Halo 2 with goosing the game. But there's some games that have little tweaks to the competitive
Yeah.
nature of the game, and if you can find out how to get in there and
You-
goose that,
you get the
you will
advantage.
win. Call of
League
Duty,
actually,
Halo 2,
League
etc.
really does have some of those, but every time somebody discovers one, they'll start using it,
Yeah.
and then everybody will figure it out, and then in the next patch, the game developers balance around that
Hmm.
exploit, and they're never really game breaking, which says a lot about how good the devs are.
Yeah.
They're just, this champion is strong right now because one of their abilities lets them deal with this new item. And maybe next time that ability gets nerfed a little bit, and then it's, this champion's really strong right now because compared to the other one who just got nerfed, they have an advantage. And it's a cycle.
And then you end up with a game that's vastly different in about 6 months. It's so different than it was.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. No, I've only really seriously started playing League more than once a week recently. But I started back in 2011 because I was at a convention and somebody gave me a code for a free champion skin. And I thought, well, I might as well get an account. Free stuff, right?
Yeah.
And
It's you and me.
the evolution of the game over the last 2 or 3 years, it's not the same game. If you went back and tried to play it, not everything has changed. I don't think any champion is the same as they were before. I think whole game mechanics have been replaced. The game used to have dodging in it. There used to be a passive dodge chance, and you could buy equipment or have skills that gave you that. That does not exist anymore.
Do you think they're gravitating away from those expected RPG things like dodging and stuff like that?
I
And
actually
kind of
know
turning into their own thing?
I know that their design philosophy over at Riot Games is focused on the idea of counterplay, which is, have you heard that before?
No.
The idea that anything that you can do in a game, if you get an ability, it should give you more options, but it should also give your opponents more options too.
Okay.
And I think that's a really cool design strategy. But a lot of their
It's a
design
balance
seems to be
mechanic.
focused on pushing towards that, so that because if you know what your opponents can do, you know how to avoid it, and you get more options on how to avoid it. As opposed to, I noticed they're doing a lot fewer abilities where you can just click on somebody and the ability goes off on them.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more skill shots and trick moves now, and they're also cutting out a lot of random chance. Critical hit chance has been scaled way back, although it's still a thing, which I think that'll go eventually. But a lot of stuff that's random isn't there. You know how in most RPGs you have a range of damage, you do 100 to 200 damage?
Yeah.
You don't in League. You have your attack, and you attack, and you do exactly that much damage.
No crits?
There are crits,
Okay.
but
There's no range other than that.
yeah, okay, so there's crits.
All right. I like my crits. That's pretty high stat on my Rogue Legacy list.
Oh god.
That's probably why I suck so bad.
My roommate has a thing he likes to say whenever we play a tabletop RPG, is that as soon as your crit chance goes above 50%, you are no longer getting critical successes, you are only getting critical failures.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. Because you're only hitting hard a certain amount of the time.
Like, yeah, like you're hitting hard most of the time, and then the rest of the time your hits feel wussy because you're more used to the big numbers.
Yeah. So yeah, is that the end of your video game journey as of lately?
Pretty much. It's a whole lot of new little things, and this is, you know what? I fucking love that about Steam. Can I just say that? I love that I can go on there and I can say, oh, look, here's 10 different titles for $3 each. Yeah, and I'm having more fun with some of these than I have. Like, sure, some of them are misses. Bionic Dues is interesting, but not that good. I bought Counter-Strike Global Offensive because a friend of mine plays it. And it's, it's okay, but it's not something I'm going to invest a lot of time in. And
yeah, we don't need more tactical shooters.
Yeah. It is, however, the best tactical shooter. So if you're going to have one, might as well go for the good stuff.
I'm still holding out for another Rainbow Six.
I think everybody is.
Yeah. Well, not people that play Halo, but
I can like both. They're different genres.
I do like both, but there are people that don't like which is fine because dude, I've always just stomped all over people every time I got on Rainbow Six Vegas 2. People are horrible. And maybe I'm just really good. I don't know, but it's just I think that's why I like it. Yeah. I like a game where I can just walk in and stomp all over people. Because every other game, not the case.
It feels really great. One of my friends and I play TF2 sometimes. Mm-hmm. And he'll come over and we'll be like, we're bored. What do we do? I don't know. You want to play TF2? Sure. And we like doing heavy medic pairing because that's a thing. And you know what? People in public servers cannot step to that.
Because nobody does it well.
Yeah, and so when you got two people in the same room that are on the same wavelength, good God, it's beautiful.
That's the way I felt about another Tom Clancy game, Splinter Cell, Pandora Tomorrow, and Chaos Theory. If you were together with...
I've been meaning to play the Splinter Cell games.
I think you're a little late, but you might enjoy them to a point. I can
still play them. They still exist.
They still exist, but they're not what they were. I think the high point of that series was the online play for Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow. They corrected a lot of stuff in Chaos Theory, but they added a shotgun for the mercenaries. It was basically, it's just too overpowered.
It's a win the game button.
Kinda, and you just have to be... Now, playing as a spy was really challenging because you only had your hands and gadgets, so you had to drop on them or break their neck from behind, which is what made it really exciting. Because if you could, if you got that kill, it was like that much more rewarding.
It was because you did something right.
Yeah. Now I have not played Blacklist because they've not had a real sale. I think the cheapest that game has been is like $30. I'm like, no, I'm waiting. They brought back that multiplayer. And it seems all right, but the spies have guns now, I think, and it's not what it was. Okay, look, Ubisoft, you asswipes, if you're listening to me, just fucking put out the Splinter Cell, Chaos Theory, or Pandora Tomorrow multiplayer. That is all I need.
Why would they do that? They're making so much money off Assassin's Creed, number 34.
Well, I don't... We keep rabbit trailing. What I hear that Assassin's Creed 4 is actually shockingly good.
I've heard that too. I'm still not going to play it.
I actually got it some way that I'm not going to say. And my computer has been giving me shit, so I uninstalled it and played BioShock, which was a mistake.
Well, you chose poorly. Yeah. I just don't want to pay for another Assassin's Creed game. They've let me down so many times with it now that they do not... I don't care what they do with it now. They don't deserve my money.
From what I've heard, a lot of people that hated that series actually said, no, this one's really good, and even though they were ready to write off the whole series, this one's good. But it's
you know what? I'm going to advocate this. I bought a bunch of the other Assassin's Creed games and felt like after I played them, I felt like they still owed me a real game. I'm stealing this one, and I will consider their
Yeah.
debt paid.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I don't mind. It's if I played it for about half an hour and then deleted it because, like I said, PC was giving me shit. It looks like the Far Cry 3 format, but with Assassin's Creed.
Okay,
So it's like you have
that
a
sounds
map
cool.
and you just kind of run to you just kind of run to the points on the map. But the mission structure is still kind of the same. So from what I've heard, it's a big improvement. But because they're shitting out a game every year, it doesn't really provide for any real changes to the structure. Doesn't make the game bad, but
But it doesn't make the game new
they
or
can't
innovative.
keep it up forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, as for me, we talked about BioShock. We don't really need to talk about that anymore. Played Metro, really impressed by that. Don't like the voice acting, but it still makes up for it.
That's because they only have like 5 guys doing the voice acting. Or in 2033 they did. There were really only like 6 or 7 voice actors. And hearing Steve Blum do a Russian accent for 4 different people, it's like really. Steve Blum,
kind of bad.
For those that don't know, Steve Blum is a pretty prolific American voice actor. Anybody who's ever seen Cowboy Bebop knows him because he's Spike.
Who is he?
Spike.
Oh!
Yeah.
I love Spike.
And that's where I first heard him, and because I am just in love with Cowboy Bebop,
Yeah.
every time I hear him in a video game, it's like, oh, it's Spike! And then in Metro 2033, it was like, oh, it's Spike! Oh, it's Spike again! Oh, Spike
Why can't
died.
they get a Russian guy for cheaper? Like, why is he so bad in this and so great in Cowboy Bebop?
I don't know.
Or maybe he's not in Metro Last Light. I really have no idea. Can I just go on record and say Cowboy Bebop is the best anime?
The best? Like, absolutely the best?
I think the best.
I don't know.
As far as the least amount of filler and bullshit and good storytelling.
I'm a big fan of Jormungand.
I don't know. I'm actually not a big anime connoisseur, but
You know, I didn't think I was either until I realized that I had access to a lot of stuff. And, like, I watch a lot of things. That's what I do when I get bored. I read and I watch movies and TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
And anime is just one of those things that pops up. Like, so I've seen way more than other people. I didn't realize until lately just how much more.
mm-hmm. I love the animes that I love. That sounds a stupid thing to say, but and I think almost all of anime, and I think you might agree, almost all anime is really cliche, like
Well,
embarrassingly cliche.
Almost all TV is cliche.
Yeah, they know who to pander to, and that's effective financially.
Actually, more and more recently, there's been a lot of anime that really does kind of break the mold on stuff. Same with TV shows, the American TV.
God, I like Sleepy Hollow, man. That's
Yeah,
good.
like where the fuck did that come from? Just out of nowhere, they dropped that on us.
Yeah, I don't think anyone expected it to be good. And it takes the same thing that they've tried a million times, but because the writing and the acting and the characters are so good.
And yeah, they've got a lot of tropes in there, but none of it feels overly cliche.
And well, it's even the filler's entertaining. It's like it's very covered.
It's not
in
advancing
tropes,
the plot, but it's still fun.
Yeah, then you got shows like The Walking Dead,
Which is nothing but filler.
I will see your Walking Dead and raise you Sons of Anarchy.
I didn't even bother with that one.
That show is a lot like Walking Dead. When it's really good, it is fantastic. But God, do you have to wait? But we have this podcast that we talk about video games on.
Video games? What are those?
I don't know. TV shows. I'm so distracted today. yeah, so I played BioShock, hated it. I beat The Last of Us. The tone and the story made that game a lot better than it should have been, in my opinion.
Mm.
Shooting, if that game was on PC, it would have been way better because shooting in that game with the controller and just
I have
overall.
never liked consoles for first-person shooters.
No, I haven't either.
Halo
I
2 is the
agree.
only one I give a pass to.
Halo, yeah, Halo games, Call of Duty, those two are probably the best. It's bad when you have a game that limits you on ammo and hands you a controller and says, "Here you go." Um, that was part of the struggle I had with The Last of Us was aiming with that god awful DualShock. Um, I don't have many positive feelings towards the DualShock controller. It has really good buttons, far better than the 360 controller in my opinion. But pointing a gun is my preferred. With the 360 controller is far better in my opinion. Uh, the position of those sticks on the DualShock is idiotic, and I wish they would get with the program.
Yeah, the 360 controller is really well designed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was amazed when I first played with one of those. I thought it looked kind of dumb in the ads. I thought the positioning was weird, and then I actually held it in my hands, and it was, holy shit!
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
perfect for everything. It's the right size. It's got the right feel to it. Good job, Microsoft. Like, legitimately good job.
I firmly agree with you. I wish that their buttons would kind of get to the caliber that the DualShock is at, because
They get sticky after a while.
they get sticky and they're real clicky. The DualShock's control buttons are pressure sensitive,
Ooh,
and they
that's
just
cool.
feel way better. They always have felt way better to me. But you know, the funny thing is, I actually like, with the exception of the black and white button, I actually like the S controller for the original Xbox more than the Xbox 360 controller.
Hmm.
The placement of that back and start button right underneath that left analog stick was genius. And then they moved it. Why?
Spite, mostly.
Maybe. I mean, reaching to the center of the controller is more. It's more distance you got to go, and it means you have another button to press on accident when you're learning.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I don't know. I've never actually hit that by accident. It's pretty out of the
I
way.
did when I was very green, when
Yeah.
I was learning. But yeah, games. I I loved The Last of Us.
I think
I'm
we've
loving.
come full circle. We've had this conversation before.
Yeah. I'm just kind of saying I love The Last of Us. Moving on. I don't know if I just touched Metro. I only put like a half an hour into it, if that.
And then over
I
on my
played
end,
that La Mulana game. And
yeah. We
Hammer
both picked up a
Watch.
lot of stuff off the Steam sale.
Samurai Gun. I saw that Giant Bomb Quick Look, and I said, "This game looks amazing."
And it wasn't.
Well, it was,
Oh,
but there's
it would be better
no
if it had online
multiplayer.
multiplayer. Yeah.
Yeah, like I really respect their opinion of we want to perpetuate local multiplayer.
Social gaming is cool, but I don't think that's what video games are best at anymore. Board games are where social gaming is. Like that social in your house, everybody gets together for stuff. Like, we don't need to have LAN parties anymore. Cool as they are, and we should still be able to do that.
well, I
But
think
every video game that has multiplayer should, if it has multiplayer, it should be online multiplayer as an option, at least.
yeah, there's two things, maybe three. This is a PC game. How many people own more than one PC controller?
You mean
Two.
keyboard?
Huh?
Oh, well, right, like the little ones you plug in, yeah.
Yeah, the 360 controller, in my opinion, is kind of universal at this point, for the PC. Two, look at the age of gamers now compared to the age of gamers when local multiplayer was about all that you could choose from. That it was kids playing with their family, or having their kid friends come over that really didn't have much of a life because they weren't working or whatever. Now the average age is around 30. how many 30-year-old dudes are all plugging in controllers into the same PC? Nothing wrong with that, but
Well, I think that actually fixes the problem of having fewer controllers. Is after a certain age point, you have more discretionary income.
yeah.
So it's easier to pick up a few controllers just to play a game because you want to hang out with your friends. The harder part is, like you said, kids, they all have the same schedule. They go to school 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and then
Yeah, you're right.
and that's pretty much it. And then they got all that free time. Nowadays,
Now you got morning shift and swing shift and school, and
exactly.
everyone's kind of on a different playing field, and telling someone to come over to your house just makes it that much more complicated.
Yeah, it's. I actually have gotten really good at scheduling my friends because we play a lot of tabletop RPGs and we make board games and play board games, and it's tricky, but goddamn, I feel like a logistics expert at this point. Like I could go and I could run airport security with the level of scheduling that I have.
Well, I feel like we already got monkeys taking care of that, but
I could do better.
airport, you could. That's my
That's
point.
the problem.
Let's harass people, then they'll think we're doing something.
I threw an extra word in there. I shouldn't have said airport security. I could run an airport. How about that?
Yeah.
That fits better.
I haven't really been that big into tabletop stuff. I mean, I've never really tried it, so I'm kind of open to it. But
Yeah, I refrained from talking about the various tabletop stuff I've been playing lately because you said video games, and those are not. But yeah.
yeah, that'd be a whole separate podcast. So yeah, let's because I think I've talked about pretty much everything. I mean, the only news story that happened somewhat recently was that Left 4 Dead 2 was free and it crashed Steam because everyone was trying to get it. I don't really. I think Killing Floor is the superior Left 4 Dead 2, in my opinion.
I don't know. Left 4 Dead 2 is a great expansion onto Left 4 Dead. It adds a bunch of stuff that would have been really cool in the original Left 4 Dead. And now that you can play all the original Left 4 Dead levels in Left 4 Dead 2, that's pretty much what it is.
I need more people to play Left 4 Dead with. That's another problem.
Killing Floor and Left 4 Dead aren't... They sound similar on paper because they both have zombies in them. They're not the same genre of game.
No, because Killing Floor is like a wave-based thing.
Yeah, Killing Floor is like Firefight. It's a horde game. While Left 4 Dead is a... I don't even know, run and gun sort of thing?
Yeah, and the pacing is a little different because it's a campaign. Even though this handful of levels is still campaign. I wish there was more horde mode games.
Yeah, horde mode is fun.
And that's all I want most of the time. And so many games I play, like the Gears of War series is a perfect example. Single player is fine, but it's kind of just the horde mode just staggered out through these poorly designed levels.
Yeah.
And then with some pretty decent storytelling throughout.
It would be a lot of fun to have a game that was nothing but really, really good horde mode in multiplayer.
I think that's kind of sort of Killing Floor. I mean, that it's the best.
Well, Killing
I
Floor
think
is good, but I feel like it would be possible to make a game with more content to it.
Yeah.
Killing Floor really only has at its core like 4 enemies of varying strength levels. And
I do think they need to add more enemies because they've added a lot of guns, but
yeah, something that plays like a third-person version of Doom with the speed and the projectile avoidance. I think that'd be cool. Like a horde mode that is also kind of a bullet hell shooter.
I would like more games like Doom and those old age games.
Have you seen Brutal Doom?
No? Is that a mod?
It's a mod for Doom that is just... Oh, okay. I can't even begin to describe Brutal Doom. Just go YouTube Brutal Doom.
Is this Doom 1 or
Doom 2, I think.
Okay.
It replaces your starting pistol with an assault rifle.
Okay.
which is actually a functional weapon, but it doesn't feel broken or overpowered. It adds like really gory kill effects to everything. It has a remastered version of all the original music done with live instruments.
Okay.
It is just as fast and just as frantic as the original Doom, except now you get to splatter demons across 4 different walls with a shotgun.
Is this worth playing solo?
Yeah, this one is single player.
Okay.
I don't know if there's actually there might be multiplayer for it.
I might have to check that out because I like Doom, but you can only keep going back to Doom so many times.
If you've already got it really does refresh it because it has higher difficulty levels.
Okay.
There's one difficulty level, like the highest one, where the enemies respawn after a certain amount of time.
All right.
Like they will pull themselves back together where you killed them, so it puts the whole level on a timer, and it makes backtracking not so boring anymore.
Okay.
But yeah, if you've got Doom 2 lying around,
oh God, who doesn't? I think I bought Doom 2.
Everybody has Doom 2 lying around.
I could tell you I probably bought Doom 1, let alone Doom 2. I bought Doom 1 probably about 10 times. Because I had it for PC, I had it for the original Xbox, I have it for the 360, I've had it on my phone.
What?
I mean, it's almost free at this point. You end up getting it and you say, how did I end up with this? Team Fortress.
Copies of Doom. Where did they come from?
I have a bookcase with nothing but Doom on it.
I put 2 copies of Doom in my closet and they reproduced.
You see, this is why digital gaming exists. People say, bring back physical media. And I'm like,
physical media is hard to keep track of.
If I had a book, I would need like 2 bookcases for all the games I own. And imagine if games still use giant cases that they did way back in the day.
Yeah.
Remember those huge boxes?
Yeah, we've
It's
actually
like a crate. You have to move them with a forklift.
We've got like the original King's Quest box. It's sitting up on a shelf out in the living room.
Wasn't that first person?
Enormous. I don't remember. I actually have never played it. I just see the box every day. It's out in my living room.
So, main topic because we spent.
I think the main topic was we were closing up.
Okay. Because we've been going for like 2.5 hours now.
2 hours, pretty much.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. I think that's about it. Seen any good movies lately?
Yes. I watched 2 sci-fi films. I watched Elysium and I watched Oblivion.
So I need to see both of those.
Here's a weird thing. So Oblivion's the one with Tom Cruise. Elysium is the one by Neil Blomkamp.
With Matt Damon and...
Yeah, with Matt Damon and whatever. And Elysium is like this really kind of gritty, hard look at what a future might look like, where Earth continues on its current path, where rich people get richer and poor people get to die in a fire. And...
Very Darwinist.
Yeah. No. Just kind of douchey, really.
Yeah, what's the difference?
You know, Darwin's theory... Well, Darwin's theory actually accounts for compassion.
Yeah, that's true.
In fact, he pointed out that species that show compassion towards each other tend to survive a lot better.
Yeah, don't tell the... Oh, never mind. I'm not going to go there.
Don't tell the Republicans.
Well, I was going to say the opposite. Because Republicans are not Darwinists.
I think
They're just superior. I mean, they believe they're superior.
No politics. No
that.
politics. Back up. Before one of us says something that makes the other want to kill him. Anyway, but Oblivion looked like this cheesy little popcorn movie, and it's whatever. But I'd honestly recommend Oblivion over Elysium. Oblivion felt like it had something to say about the nature of humanity, whereas Elysium just kind of felt like it wanted to have a message, but it didn't do a good job of conveying it. Mm-hmm. Whereas Oblivion didn't have a big message, but the stuff it wanted to say, it said, and it did a good job of it, and Tom Cruise is pretty damn cool in it, and
Well,
it's
he's a fantastic actor, I think.
yeah, no, he is. He's insane.
Well, most extremely talented people are.
He's insaner. I mean, you got to remember the guy's a Scientologist,
Yeah, true.
but when he decides to act, he brings his A game.
Well, and I think a lot of people forget they do this thing with good-looking people, and especially good-looking actors, is they kind of forget how good Tom Cruise is at acting.
Yeah,
Like
he's
because
really good.
Collateral, man, that movie is not amazing, but his acting in that movie, holy damn! Have you
Yeah.
seen Collateral?
I have.
Oh man, he was
And then,
scary.
even in Oblivion, he's the movie is it's cheesy, but it's got Morgan Freeman and Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it has Morgan Freeman in it. So right there, and yeah, he really sells it.
I want to see that. And from what I heard about Elysium, is it was just kind of regurgitated District 9.
That's what bothered me is Neil Blomkamp made District 9. I expected better from him.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't know if there were some kind of people higher up on the food chain that were telling him, bah, they were, I don't know. Usually shit rolls downhill with this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think District 9 shocked a lot of people with how good it was because no one saw it coming. In fact, I remember driving to the theater with my brother saying, "What movie are we watching?" Like, no, I just wanted to go see a movie.
Just to see something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was going in totally cold and left saying, "Holy shit, District 9." So
The part
going
with
off
the
of
gravity gun and the pig.
oh,
Oh.
it's like from what I heard, and I could be wrong, but I heard that movie was greatly inspired by Half-Life 2.
No kidding.
And that pig scene probably validates it.
Like at first I was watching him with like when he first pulls out the gravity gun and he stops all the bullets and flings them back and I was like, is that a gravity gun? Did he just and then he hits the guy with a pig? It's like, yes it is.
Yep.
And yes he did.
That usually long action scenes after about 2 minutes I go, okay, enough is enough. But with District 9, that mech scene, I was like, this could go for 10 minutes. I never wanted to end.
The whole movie was build up to that. And it just, oh yeah, no, that was great. That was a good movie. I'm going to go watch that again.
I'm going to send a message to everybody out there that doesn't like District 9.
You're wrong.
Yes. Why don't you like good stuff?
Yeah.
Well, the friends, I have so many friends that don't like District 9.
We've disagreed on about a half dozen things over the course of this show so far, but we think District 9 is good. That means you should think District 9 is good.
Yes.
This is law.
We will be the elitist podcast saying everybody else is wrong.
That was
sarcasm. Yeah. Break out my monocle.
Well, I'm going to go watch District 9 again.
Yes, we need to end this. It's been going for too long.
All right, wrap it up.
Well, guys and girls, you may email me at videogabe0083@gmail.com. I have been aggressively trying to have an email section for this show, and I've not had much luck with it because nobody. But I'm just gonna be realistic. Nobody listens to this show. I have
it doesn't
80
matter.
Yeah,
I've learned this. I do a different podcast. I've learned this. It does not matter how many people listen. No one will get off their ass to email.
And to be fair, I'm kind of one of those people because I listen to Giant Bomb religiously.
And you don't email.
I think I listened for 3 years and I didn't email. Because you're in the car when they say to email. By the time you get around a computer, it's you forget. So send emails. I would love to have a section where I get to read them and respond to them, send your questions, send whatever. I'm on YouTube. My YouTube profile is Gabe0083. You may follow that. It's not it is a place where I end up posting a lot of these podcasts, but it's also just a catch-all for my life. So expect to see a lot of fucking videos of ducks and birds in the backyard and nonsense that does not have to do with video games.
Videos of ducks. That might actually sell better.
In Portland, there's a place called the Rhododendron Garden where there's ducks everywhere. And so it's kind of fun to go down there and get attacked by geese.
Yeah.
Because they're mean.
Birds.
Yeah. So there's that. I am on Twitter. I believe I'm actually bringing up my Twitter right now because I never use it and I forgot what my name is. Well, just look up Gabriel Hazim on Twitter. I believe I'm Gabe0083 on Twitter as well. So yeah, those are the ways you can find me. This podcast has been a little rocky because it's very new and people have busy lives and it's difficult to get people together, especially around the holidays. My mission is to do at least one a week. The new plan might be, instead of having one a week where I have a large cast, I might have two a week with different people. And I'm going to try to cut back on the overlap as much as I can, but you're going to get it, whether you like it or not, because that's how it's going to pan out, unfortunately. But we will have a different main topic for every week. Cool thing is, because we talk too much on this podcast, I will be able to squirrel away my zombie games topic for a different podcast.
I thought we did zombie games. We talked about Last of Us and Teleglitch and
We
Left
did.
4 Dead and
We did, but I could probably have
Killing Floor.
I could have a whole different podcast talking about the mechanics of zombie games and why one or
Yeah, that's fair.
one or two encounters with zombies is better than 1,000. So yes, anywho, that's going to wrap it up this week. Thanks for listening. Share this with your friends, because every single view that I have gotten, well, almost every single view I've gotten is because you have forwarded this onto to a friend, and I have spammed various Facebook gaming sites that have banned me immediately.
As I like to say, if you like the show, tell your friends. If you don't like the show, tell your enemies. They'll hate you for it.
Yes. Hey, you know what? Negative feedback is going to provide me with something to talk about on the show.
Still feedback.
Yes. So anyway,
Questions,
thanks for listening,
comments,
guys.
hate mail, email.
Yeah, dude, if I got hate mail, I'd probably read it on the thing. On the podcast, that's what it's called. So, anyway, thanks for listening, guys. We will see you next week, or whenever the fuck we happen to record another podcast.
Good night.
Good night.